All right, let's get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Um, Took a month off for the holiday, so I hope you guys enjoyed the holiday. But back to work. Want to talk a few things today. We have our program types. So we wanted to talk about. Just want to let everybody know exactly what they are, where to add them for our different students, and kind of how to set up some of your locations and classes to make sure that things are or that students are getting captured correctly. And then the other thing is the partner portal prep. We do plan on programming that partner portal here within the next month or two, to where we will allow our partners, so DWS, Voc Rehab, and UDC, the Department of Corrections, to where they will have access into UASIS to where they can pull information for our students. We'll talk about all of that as we get up and just kind of what the preparation is that you guys need to do on your end so that it works on their end. So today, as we talk always, the data maintenance. Have you logged into UASIS to enter your data? If you're having trouble logging in, I know we've had a couple of issues within the last week or so. Let us know. We are happy to help. Remember, not just you, but you can remind all of your staff as well that if they're having issues with passwords, you are able to reset their password for them. The next time they successfully log in, they will be required to change their password. So that is something to kind of keep an eye on, that they don't have, or you don't have to come to us. Have you entered your data in a timely manner? Remember that we do ask that data does get entered every 2 weeks. Um, this allows us at the state level to run reports and see different things on where programs are. It also helps us with our Third Thursdays trainings to see that is there something that we need to talk about, like what we're talking about today. We just want to make sure that everybody is aware, and as we do talk about this, these different topics, and you guys entering the data is what does help us with that. And then the last thing is, have you set an EFL and entering EFL for each of your students? Um, yes, the primary way is that we do want to make sure that these students are getting set via a pre and or via a pre-test. However, we do have provisional functioning levels which we can set to students, um, and we do have a new way, which is our alternatively placed students, which we will actually talk about a little bit more next week, in our directors meeting. If you have questions about that, please reach out. We're happy to talk more about that. So let's talk about our program types. There are 6 different program types that you can add to a student. 4 of these are specifically for NRS requirements so that we can report on them correctly. One of them, the K-12, is for we need for funding purposes to make sure that we are accessing our funding correctly. We actually use our K-12 in NRS reporting as well. And then the last one, out of state, is just to make sure that you are treating those out of state students correctly based on how the rules are set up. My biggest question that I always say is, well, how do I add program types to our students? It's pretty easy to do. If you go to a student's record, and you look at the top snapshot, you will find the enroll in programs. If you click on that, the second option over is your program type. Uh, so you simply click the checkbox there. Once you click the checkbox, you will be asked for a begin date. You are also asked for an end date at the time. However, the end date is not a required field. The begin date is. Once you click the checkboxes, add the begin dates, you can hit save down at the bottom. Um, and I will tell you that I have ran into a bug a couple of times that when you do save that the checkboxes do go away to where it looks like they're not saved properly. I am looking into that. I don't know if it's happening all the time or if it just happened to be when I was testing it, um, to build this training. But I will look into that to see what's going on. Those checkboxes should save. When they do save, uh, they do show up in 2 different locations. The first locate or the one location is up at the top. It says program enrollment or program types, excuse me, and it will list the different programs that they are in along with the begin date, and the little person lets you know who entered that. Down in the program enrollment section, that is where you can see not just the active ones, but also historical. So if you had a student that was in your IET programs that last year, for example, the other program types in the program enrollment section is where you can see historically what did that. Again, you can see who did that based on the little exclamation or based or on the person. But that is where you can see a history of all of the different program types that the students have been in, who have been in. Um, these aren't officially called program types, but we kind of treat them as the same way. They are our institutional programs, and we do report on these yearly to NRS as well. There are three types of institutional programs. We've got our correctional facilities, our community correctionals, and our other institutions. If you do have questions about if you believe you have one of these or which one should you be marking, please reach out. We're happy to have conversations. It is a little bit different for every program. Most all of our jails, for example, in our prisons, our correctional facilities, community correctionals, or like halfway houses, different things like that. Other institutions, we've only got a couple of those within the state. If you do believe that one of yours should be there, please let us know and ask us. Stephanie is really good about knowing which one should be marked at that. I'll be honest, I tell you where to mark it. I don't know the definitions necessarily. So where do we add these? We add these on the status and barriers page. And so if you click on status and barriers, you scroll past all of the 13 barriers, you'll come to the institutional programs. You click the checkbox and you hit save. Now, I will let you know that this is going to be updated in the next month or so. When you click these checkboxes, you are actually going to have a begin and an end date show up, similar to how you have the program types. So you will be able to backdate a student's enrollment in the program into the institutional programs. Right now, when you click the checkbox and hit save, I simply use today's date. That's how I had it programmed, but there was some feedback in, I believe it was last director's meeting, that you would like the capability of adding the dates yourself. So we will be adding that also in an upcoming update. On the student's homepage, you will start seeing these institutional programs as well. So when the checkboxes get clicked, they will show up on the student's homepage underneath the program types. This will let you see at a very quick glance to make sure that students are enrolled in correctional facilities correctly, or whatever institutional program they are. So right now, this is the only location that you can see if a student is assigned one of these, but know that in the upcoming short future, probably about 2 weeks, that you will be able to see these in new areas. The last thing about this that I want to quickly talk about is setting up the locations. You can set up either a class or a location so that it can capture every student inside of that class or location as one of these program types. The IET, IALC, family literacy, and workplace literacy, those are your different program types that we talked about first, and those are set up per class. Now, I'm going to give you the caveat that this is only going to be set up if the entire class is deemed as one of those. The reason why is if the entire class is, and you enroll a student who is not marked as, say, IET, for example, when you enroll them in the class, the student will automatically be marked as an IET student. So it does it's our last catch all to make sure that we are capturing the students correctly so that we can report them. The institutional programs are not set up per class, but they are set up per location. So if you have a jail location, your jail should be identified as incarcerated. If you have halfway houses for your community or any other community correctionals, I would suggest setting those up as an individual location, so that way those students being enrolled in those classes at that location are identified correctly. Again, this is kind of just a last ditch effort to make sure that we are capturing these students correctly. Again, only use these if the entire class or the entire location is set up to be or is identified as one of these program types. If they are not, please do not check the checkboxes. Otherwise, we will identify more students enrolled in one of these than there should be. Oh, and then the last thing is, where do I identify, or where can you see a report of your program for the year? For your program types, you can see those on the GOAT report. We do have all of those listed, but you can see those on different federal tables as well. Table 6 will give you your family literacy and workplace literacy. Table 8, 9, and 11 are breakdowns of specific reports. So, for example, table 11, it talks all about your IET students. Table 9 talks about your IELCE, and table 8 talks about your family literacy. So it looks at them a little bit more, as some of those can actually be have different achievements that can be associated with those as well. But those achievements will only show on our federal tables if they are um, identified and marked correctly as having that. For our institutional programs, the only location we can currently see this is our table 6. With both program types and institutional programs, we are going to be building a couple of new reports in the near future that will allow you to see just these students, the begin dates, the end dates, and that kind of stuff. So do keep an eye out for some of our updates in the upcoming months, as we will push out some new reports on that. Are there any location, or not, excuse me, are there any questions about different program types? Again, you are welcome to come off of mute, or you can answer in the, or ask me questions in the chat. We will answer both of them. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our partner portals. This is fairly short. There's only a couple of things that that you have to do in preparation. So our partners, DWS, Voc Rehab, and UDC, will be able to log in and access their student records. I know that I get questions all the time. Well, not all the time, but I get questions every once in a while about, hey, is this student enrolled? What is their testing information? I do know that sometimes they are looking for uh, uh, contact hours, different things like that. This will allow them to have access into the system, but again, they will only have view only access into that. Now, to see these students, how are these programs going to be able to see these individual students? And that's going to be here on the partner agencies. Again, this is under the status and barriers page. Down towards the bottom, you have partner agencies. And to identify that the student is working with one of these, they will click the checkbox. You can click the checkbox and hit save down at the bottom, and that will update the student to let you know that the student is now working with that agency. This is how I'm going to be able to pull, say, their student list, for example, is this is the flag that I'm going to be looking at. These flags are for the student in general. So if a student is working, say, with two programs at once, say they're working with our Salt Lake and our Granite program, if one of the programs identifies the students working with DWS, the student will be available regardless of which program that is. So they're not going these partners are not going to see a specific program. They will see the entire student's, record, as long as one of these are marked. But I am going to use these. The reason I bring it up is, if you do have programs, once we do launch this, if you do have partners reaching out to you and say, hey, by the way, I can't see Johnny's record, and you pull up Johnny's record, this will tell you, and this checkbox isn't checked, that will tell you why, for example, DWS is unable to see it. So I wanted to give you kind of an idea on why you're seeing this. We've had these in our system for a very, very long time, um, but we really never used them except for just kind of counts about who is or is not working with our partners. Moving forward, this is actually going to be how our partners are able to see our students. So any questions on our partner portal? Beyond that, there's not much that you guys will have to do. You just have to make sure that the checkboxes are checked correctly. Questions?
Adam, I do.
Sure. What's the question?
This is Andrea. So on the partner agencies, are you doing a separate training with them, or do you need us
Yes.
to meet with them to teach them how to access this?
No, I am going to set up a training. I'm going to work with the office in Salt Lake, and then we will figure out how to divvy it throughout Utah.
Okay.
Um, there is Now, with that said, there is going to potentially be those one-offs to where maybe the staff member wasn't able to attend the training, and so you'd be like, "Oh, this is how you do it." So there is that option that may end up happening. But with DWS Voc Rehab and with UDC, I do plan to host trainings with them to get them logged in so where they can see it and do not the training that you guys went through, because again, theirs is only going to be a view only access. And so for them, they're going to see, oh, I have access to this, I have access to that, and here's the 5 reports that I can run so that I can see my students. For them, that's really all it's going to be. So I'm going to do the training, but there is potentially going to be that one off that you guys will have to say, oh, let me show you how it's done. It's a good question. Are there any other questions related around either the partner portal or the program history or the program enrollments?
Hey, Adam, I had to step away for a minute. This is Chris. Did you have a specific date for the partner portal and when it'll be up and ready?
I don't yet. I have this, let's see, partner portal. It's second on my to program list. So I'm hoping that I can get the partner portal up and running by end of March, beginning of April. Now, don't hold me to that, but that is kind of my current idea timeline on when I can do it. I do hope that it'll be up before the end of the program year.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know UDC appreciates it.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. All right. The last thing that I have, and at this point, everybody needs to bring out their cell phones. It has been brought up to potentially change our third Thursday meeting time. There's been a handful of requests to potentially change it. And so I would like to get feedback on this, not only from you, but when I am going to post this on YouTube, this link will stay live. But I would like to know what your guys' top 3 times are. We are going to keep it on a third Thursday, so the date itself is not going to change. But we do want to know if the time change would benefit more people. Right now, again, we have it at 3 o'clock. But we do know that sometimes with different programs, and especially since we've been running this now for a couple years since Brian was around, things may have changed in programs to where 3 o'clock is not necessarily our best time anymore. Maybe around lunchtime might be more beneficial. So please grab your phone, scan the QR code. It will take you to a Google form. And on that Google form, I need you to click your top 3 choices. I don't care what they are, but I would like you to send that response in. Again, I am going to send both the link for this out as well as this will be on YouTube as that you can have your staff members do it as well. So if you want your staff members to start attending this, but 3 o'clock is not good for them, please have them do it. I'm willing again to change to any one of these times. These I am planning to keep this open through January 26th. It is a Sunday, but it is a week from this Sunday. I will look at all of the results on January 27th, and then we will send out what the new time is. And then our plan is to start in February, that we are going to start with the new time. Now, I do understand that this may not be perfect for everybody, but again, remember we do record these so that you can watch them live afterwards. But for the live session, it has been asked if we could potentially change it And so here is your time to give us feedback. Looks like we have a couple of different options. People have kind of come in. And again, the way I'm going to do this is it's simply going to be the majority rules, kind of an idea. Being that there is a top 1, 2, and 3, I'm probably going to give first choices 3 points, second choices 2, and third choices 1. And then I'm just going to grand total it all out for each time slot. And that's how we're going to do it. So hopefully no one is super bummed about what time if we do change it. Again, it's not a guarantee, but it is a potential. So that's all I've got today. Thank you very much for coming. I will send out the link for both this poll and for the recording tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that. If there's nothing else, thanks, guys.